This is just how things sometimes turn out. A truly, truly sorrowful situation.
The front north of Pokrovsk has exploded back to life, and this time the momentum is Ukrainian. In a sudden and forceful counterattack, Ukrainian army units surged north of Pokrovsk, smashing through weakened Russian positions and reclaiming Suketska, Suvorov, and the Krasnolimanskaya mine north of Rodinska. These were not symbolic gains. They were hard ground, seized under fire, and they signal a sharp reversal in a sector Russia believed it had stabilized. The advance did not stop there. Ukrainian forces pushed directly into Rodinsky itself, retaking large sections of the town and disrupting Russian defensive lines that had relied on attrition rather than depth. What Moscow framed as steady pressure has now fractured into a scrambling defense. Further north, the situation for Russian forces is even darker. Ukrainian units have regained positions north and northwest of Kupiansk, a strategic rail hub whose control is vital for logistics in Kharkiv Oblast. Geolocated footage confirms what Russian sources are now admitting. Dozens of Russian soldiers are trapped, isolated, and cut off from supplies. Several companies of air assault troops are reportedly encircled, with contact to remnants of the garrison completely lost. Winter has arrived with full force. Heavy snowfall and freezing temperatures are choking drone operations and slowing movement. But this time, the cold is not Russia's ally. Ukrainian forces are advancing across frozen ground while isolated Russian units sit blind, hungry, and surrounded. General Frost, long mythologized in Russian military culture, is playing for the other side. In Donetsk Oblast, the Pokrovsk sector tells the same story. Ukrainian counterattacks are rolling back Russian gains, exposing thin lines and exhausted units. Since December 11th, Russian forces are estimated to have lost roughly 183 square kilometers of territory across these sectors, a significant setback under winter combat conditions. What is unfolding is not a single breakthrough, but a systemic failure. Overextended Russian units, fed by optimistic reports and brittle command structures, are now paying the price. Kupiansk and Pokrovsk have become warning signs. When momentum shifts, it does so fast, and when supply lines break in winter, survival becomes uncertain. This counteroffensive is still unfolding. But one thing is already clear. The battlefield has turned, and Russian forces across these sectors are fighting not for ground, but to avoid collapse. Current situation for the Russians in Kupiansk, 2 UAZ with supplies.
This is just how things sometimes turn out. A truly, truly sorrowful situation.
The 2 UAZ vehicles were unable to successfully complete their journey to Kupiansk.
Completely destroyed.
Won't bother.
Vladimir Putin's keeper of secrets died on Christmas Day, less than 2 years after the Russian president fired him. Colonel General Yuri Sadovenko died from heart disease on Christmas Day in Moscow, according to Russian news outlets. The Sun reports that the Ukrainian-born Sadovenko was close to former Russian Defense Minister Sergei Shoigu. Sadovenko served as the Deputy Defense Minister up until he and Shoigu were ousted in May 2024 as part of a massive shakeup at the Kremlin. Shoigu, to whom Sadovenko had reportedly acted as a gatekeeper, is now the Secretary of Russia's Security Council. Sadovenko, who had been sanctioned by Britain and other Western states, reportedly showed no signs of ill health before his death. He had previously been embroiled in scandal after his wife, Maria Kitaeva, left him for another deputy defense minister, Timur Ivanov, according to The Sun. Ivanov, 50, was arrested in April 2024 and convicted in July 2025 on charges of embezzlement and money laundering, receiving a 13-year prison sentence, the Associated Press reported. Since the Russia-Ukraine war began in February 2022, numerous top government officials have died under suspicious or sudden circumstances. On Monday, a funeral was held in Moscow for Stanislav Orlov, the head of a notorious volunteer brigade of neo-Nazi football hooligans who have fought in Ukraine. Independent Russian news outlets have reported that Orlov, nicknamed the Spaniard, was ambushed and shot by Moscow's own security forces earlier this month, according to The Guardian. Orlov's death adds to a growing list of Russian military and civilian leaders who have died. Most notably, Yevgeny Prigozhin, the head of the Wagner mercenaries. Prigozhin was killed in a plane crash in August 2023, weeks after he led an insurrection against Putin. He had once been close enough to the Russian dictator to earn the nickname Putin's chef. In July this year, Putin sacked Transport Minister Roman Starovoyt, who was found dead hours later in a park with a gunshot wound to the head. His death was ruled a suicide. On the same day, Andrei Kornaichuk, another transportation official who had worked closely with Starovoyt, collapsed and died of what was said to be a heart attack. Other deaths have long sparked jokes about staying away from windows and seen a series of former high-ranking officials being suddenly found dead stories below where they were last seen. However, not all sudden deaths are equal. Ukraine has been able to assassinate several leading Russian military figures, many hundreds of miles behind enemy lines in recent months. Last week, a top general, Lieutenant General Fanil Sarvarov, died after a bomb exploded under his car. The investigative committee of the Russian Federation believes Ukraine could be behind the blast. Firm's data also shows large fires are ongoing at the Novoshaktinsk oil refinery. Novoshaktinsk, Russia. At least 6 explosions were reported at the local oil refinery. The Novoshaktinsk petroleum products plant has a processing capacity of roughly 110,000 barrels per day, or about 5 million tons annually, and is considered one of the most important refineries in southern Russia. Radio Svoboda released satellite images showing a large fire in the port of Temryuk after Ukrainian drone strikes. The Orenburg gas processing plant, the world's largest gas chemical complex processing up to 37.5 billion cubic meters of gas annually, was reportedly struck by Ukrainian drones overnight, triggering a gas fire on a pipeline at the 3U-70 unit used to remove hydrogen sulfide and CO2. Operations at the facility have reportedly been suspended. Oil shipments from Kazakhstan via Novorossiysk will drop by around 30% in December, according to Reuters. Exports through the Caspian Pipeline Consortium are set to hit their lowest level since October 2024, after damage at the main export terminal caused by a Ukrainian drone strike in November. The terminal is operating with only one offshore loading point, with another disabled by the attack and a third stuck in delayed repairs due to bad weather near Novorossiysk. On the Toretsk axis, Russia attempted to break through with a combined assault. It failed. Ukraine's Phoenix Unmanned Systems Regiment, working alongside border guard drone operators, detected the attack early and turned the battlefield into a kill zone. As Russian forces pushed forward, drones locked onto their armor and assault elements with precision. A Russian tank advancing in support was struck and destroyed before it could influence the fight. Moments later, a motorcycle assault group, deployed in a fast, high-risk push, was hunted down from the air and eliminated one by one. Speed offered no protection. Visibility offered no escape. The engagement highlighted a growing reality on this front. Assaults that rely on momentum and shock collapse when met by coordinated drone warfare. Cheap reconnaissance, rapid strike drones, and disciplined crews now decide outcomes faster than artillery barrages ever did. For the Phoenix Regiment, this was not just a successful defense. It was a demonstration of control. On the Toretsk axis, Ukrainian drones did not merely observe the battle, they stopped it. Kremlin propagandist Sladkov proudly presents what looks like T-72 tank in dandelion modification. That is, a tragic art form with welded-on scrap metal. A sad confession that the self-proclaimed Second World Army has no answer to modern battlefield realities. Legendary 9th Brigade, he says, apparently unaware he's documenting desperation.
A dandelion. And these little things, do you see them? They're like...
These are special protective devices. They look just like dandelion petals, you know, like these. This is without a doubt the legendary 9th Brigade.
Thanks for watching, and don't forget to subscribe. Also, if you want to support Warthog Defense, please become our member and get early access to new videos, exclusive members-only videos, and become administrator in comments section. The membership link is in the description.
Rescues every day. We had a guy last week at 6 rescues in 6 days. you know, he's doing the job every day.